becomes not real when you go into this negative track. But if you go back into the positive track, the flow and the time relation is different. So your perception and understanding of yourself and the frame of negative or positive will enable you to go into a proper time as opposed to a negative time, and you will want to go into a smooth, relaxing frame of mind and to be calm regardless of any situations, which then creates a different time frame. Remember that the future is not the present and the past is gone, that your reality can be made from your imagination, and that your imagination is based on these positives and negatives, truth or lies. All actions are based on positives and negatives, truth or lies, and that all thoughts are based on these energies that people use. These energies are used as conductions. Negative energy is give and take flow. So this negative energy is always give and take, like give me, or basically they're more of a like a vampire source of energy as opposed to giving. So their flow is give and take, that draws energy as opposed to giving energy. So if you touch this source of energy, it will draw from your strength. And then when you touch something else, you will feel relieved, but you need to take energy. So in other words, they take from people that give, but they're not using love, in which is if someone gives you something, you share back. So it's give and take versus give and share. One is the two positives are continuing to grow because they're give and take, give and share, give and share, give and share. But the negative person is give and take. So they take, and in order for the person they're taking from to get relief, then they need to take. So everybody's just being greedy and selfish, and in order to keep that that system alive, they need the good people to keep giving, which is okay, but you can't give it to an individual. You can't give to love. You can be loving towards them as a foreign positive, but the thing is that they will only take. So you need to, it's called tough love, and because they're using your good for the bad, so you got to use their bad for the good. It's quite the opposite, but you're still being the good motive, and they're always being the bad motive. All these constructs and everything, we'll go into it in a deeper fashion. So basically, that's the basic principle of it, is that if they're using the good for the bad, you got to use the bad for the good. Not only does it even it out, but it shows them that it's self-defeating. So you touching this source, it will draw the strength, and that's all it's going to suck the strength right out of you. It needs positives in order to exist. Without the positive given to it, and when people awaken, then they will either have to join or die, because that's the way actually heaven and hell is. Heaven is a place where positive people can produce and always produce and become better, smarter, stronger, and negative people just want to take and control, and which is always death. As they say, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. So you understand this, the way these energies work, and you will then learn how to get out of this destructive construct. Now, positive energy is give and share. There must be a combination of giving in a positive system, which creates growth from the smallest molecule to the largest molecule. They work together like a small piece of clay merging with a larger piece of clay. And then the other one, the negative, is that they're not merging together at all, so there's a bunch of little pieces of clay just arguing with one another. This positive energy source is like a circle that creates energy at one point, and when you conduct, the source, right? When you conduct from it, you give back to it, making the energy full cycle and making it grow and gain momentum, therefore growing and becoming stronger, always growing. So if this planet eventually needs balance between it, because the negative energy then will continue to grow and become self-destructive in our cells, our everything, our thoughts, our beliefs, the animals, the food, the weather, which is all related. And so if there's no balance, the earth will cease to function as it's supposed to be due to our own belief system. So everything is related all together, and once this happens, if we become unbalanced as a society altogether, energy will stop giving positives, because the positive energy doesn't give to negatives in order for it to destroy. There must be balance or more positive in order for the positive to continue. So technically, even the negative needs positives, for without it, it will die. So if the negative then becomes too negative, the positive will stop giving positives in order for balance, which then hurts all of us. So we then need to look within ourselves to actually find out what we want to do, which then creates an implosion, destroying us. Then the positives, being who it is, will simply begin to create new again, because the positive is actually in control. The negative seems to be in control, but it's not. It's only because your naivete. But it doesn't have to be this way. If we maintain positives and we become positive, self-sustaining, and we communicate, and we do this from our beginning source of positives, like the top of the pyramid. When someone is projecting their beliefs and energy, they are doing this from the top of the pyramid. Then you respond to an original projection from someone else. You are already on a lower step of this pyramid. So in order to achieve and go higher to the pyramid, you got to continue becoming better, smarter, stronger. And as you solidify your construct, you will become better and therefore move up the pyramid. If you want to communicate from the top of the pyramid, you must begin and have this structure. And so therefore it's self-perpetuating, and where therefore new pyramids are created, as in fractals. Then when you begin any conversation, you are doing it from a source, either from above or below, so you can actually be going down or you could be going up. And yourself, which be to decide who you are between and who you really want to be once you attain mastery of self and understand the structure of positives and negatives, and which is the understanding of the source. And you go through this belief from the source, is where you draw your beliefs and therefore your actions and your objectives and your procedures. Therefore your goals, and it becomes a prophecy or prophesied and your end goal, and then you move on and continue. The negatives wants you only to look at actions and not their motives. But their actions is also tied to their motives by their structure. The negative wants you to believe that they don't conspire together, that they don't manipulate, and that they don't lie, that they don't misinterpret what you say, and that they don't initiate the problem. So therefore, they'll say, well, they're not the problem, they're the solution, and we can do this and we can do that, but their end objectives always fall short, meaning it's continuous lies over time, and they are not doing as they promised over time, but a continuous cycle of deception in which you're gullible, and then you become self-defeated because you are following a person who is deceptive. The negative will use these positive actions against you. So they use the good for the bad. So if you're being kind to them, they may choose to be cruel to you or ungrateful to get you to have regret. So those are the like a catch-22. So when you're being good to them, they can be cruel or ungrateful. In other words, if you don't give them something, they'll be cruel, and if you give them something, they'll be ungrateful. That's the catch-22. But then you got to catch 44, in which you can give them not exactly what they want, but be sort of in the ballpark. So either way, they've lost. If they are cruel to you and you are cruel to them, then they would use control. So either way, good or bad, they're going to try to use it against you. Again, that's the catch-22 and the catch-44. So for you to be confused, if they are cruel to you and you are nice to them, they may continue to be cruel for you to regret. The system that the negative uses is basically saying that the last word wins, and they use it in a negative fashion in order to control, as opposed to the positive person that says it's not the last word that wins, but the last positive word that wins, the last positive structure that wins, the person with the positive structure. Now, if you're both in the positive structure and positive words, you both win. There's no losing. But if you know how it is, the negative always loses by its very own structure. There is no loss of gain. Even if a person murders you and you was totally sweet and it was evil, then they will get what they deserve and you will get what you deserve by your own choice. Therefore, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of what you want, unless you're a hypocrite. And then when reality actually hits you, then you will pay for your iniquities. So if you are negative, and this is how they work, so if you are negative to a negative person, they may be positive to you. So they're trying to use above or below, but they're consistently inconsistent because that's the way they're playing their game, as opposed to a person who is always the same over time. I'm talking about the whole lifetime he sticks to the code or the human instruction. So then you will feel guilty, sad and depressed, and have negative emotions because you never know how these people stand when you're talking to them, and they're always going to use the knowledge of black and white, opposition, or the void. So just to use the opposite, argue for the sake of arguing, and they do that to agitate you in order for you to be negative, so therefore they control you. But if you're positive, they've lost before they've begun. If you are a positive person to a negative person, they may be negative towards you, so you may feel resentment, regret, anger, hate, and negative emotions. If a negative person has a positive action towards you, and then you are positive to the negative person will return that positive action with negative action as to perceive negatively what you actually had done positive. They'll say, no, he done it, or she done this evil, when you did no evil. It was their negative perception that tried to twist the action, but it would have to lie about how you had projected yourself in order for that to be a reality, because they're not going to believe it. If someone is saying, well, he's being rude to you, we'll say, well, how's being rude to you? How that person is being rude to you, they will describe something rude. But if you see, if it was recorded, when the person who had said that you were being rude, it would be a total lie, and you might have been saying, oh, please and thank you, and spoke in a very pleasant voice, but they're trying to change a narrative to create something that it never wasn't, using lies. That's why a lot of them don't like to be recorded, even when they're doing none, because they're always having this underlying negative structure that exposes them. Negative individuals want to condition you to believe that might makes right, as opposed to right is right, and they want you to make sure that they have the last word, but it's only their negative last word. And the last action, and they believe that they won by having the last word, and it's usually a negative word. So if they leave by saying something nasty, some expletives at you, and you say, well, have a nice day, just the fact that you said have a nice day makes them angry because they believe the last word wins. So then they will say something else, and if you say something else, they'll continue the argument. But if you stay quiet, they believe they won the argument, even though they didn't win the argument. Well, they won on evil terms in which they have lost. But if you know this, and you know how to communicate through this, regardless of what they believe, you'll let them have that, and they'll still lose, which makes them angry because now their own beliefs is coming back to haunt them because they're not living with truth. The belief that if you win any physical battle or argument makes you right is an incorrect equation and assumption. As in a bigger country destroys a smaller country, the bigger country is right because it had the power to do so. Negatives win by any physical confrontation by being able to hurt, kill, destroy someone last, and use these greatest degree of negatives in order to control, as to say, you see, there is no right and wrong, there is only control. In their distorted sort of belief system. And of course there is such a thing, a right or wrong, and it is exposed by their very actions, because it's only a matter of time before somebody else is going to get pissed and they're going to do the same thing to them, and now it was wrong. Before it was right when they were winning, but then when the very same thing they do to them is proven wrong, then now it's wrong. So their right and wrong is distorted by their own structure, as opposed to positive individuals who believe that they could lose physically but win on moral grounds, as many people have done so in the past by given up their very lives for what they believe in. Therefore, you can choose to control or be subjugated to control. You can choose to hurt or be subjugated to being hurt. You can choose to be positive or you can choose to be negative. You can choose to be hopeful or hopeless. Although many people will believe otherwise, it is who you are that will determine what you choose and your structure and the end result of your total being, including your energy and whether you're going upwards or whether you're going downwards, whether you're having a lighter energy or this heavy energy, and one yoke is light and the other one is extremely heavy. The direct use of power can help decide a physical outcome, but it does not decide who was in the right. So you learn to understand that the right is in the right, and not as a matter of size and the ability to hurt. Because if a big grown man beats a little baby to death, does that make that man right? Of course not. So it is the right is in the right behavior. Now, if the very same grown man treats the baby with love and care, now they both share that positive energy. And it works the same way in a fractal meaning, in the micro and the macro, between a larger country and a smaller country. A larger country should be or want to show love and support to a smaller country, so then a smaller country could reciprocate and many times join together because they're following the very same structure, as opposed to someone being greedy and coming and beating everybody down and saying, no, this is all mine now, and then treating everybody harshly, so that which in turn lets the little people reciprocate with that negative, especially if they don't know how this all works. So, and know that sooner or later their negative actions will have repercussions. There are those people who say that a person has never paid for their crimes or their iniquities against humanities, and they went unpunished. But this is not due for the simple fact that negative people are already without positive and are already paying for their iniquities in this very structure, in this very second, for their thoughts and their feelings. They are already playing themselves, because now they're dealing with the negative, and which they bow down to the negative, and sooner or later that they will have to come to the point of truth